Hi everyone. Around 2 years ago, I went on a journey to try find a placement for me to pursue my Master of Architecture study abroad. So due to my lack of information or background on what factors I should be aware of when choosing a university, I kind of blindly applied to around 15 international university abroad. This covers from Australia, UK, the Netherlands and also Germany. So as you all know, applying to 15 university actually took a lot of my time because I have to customize every essay, customize every cover letter, customize my resume on why I want to choose or study at those selected universities. Now that I have been through my first semester living abroad and also studying at international universities, here are some features or characters you might want to consider before you choose a university that you want to study in. Okay, first thing first, if you are choosing a career path that is a professional career, for example, being an accountant, being a lawyer, an architect or engineer, you should check whether the university of choice is actually accredited by the boards of professional bodies in Malaysia itself. So accreditation and reliability of your education and university is highly important. For example, architecture field specifically, there is actually only a selected number of local university and especially universities abroad that is approved or accredited by Lembaga Architect Malaysia or LAM. If the university is not accredited by your specific professional body, what will happen? You may have to take extra tests or interview to pass first before you can become a registered professional in Malaysia. So you may not be able to call yourself as architect if you are not accredited or not pass your part 3 test yet, or you may not be able to register as an engineer just because your previous education is a non-accredited engineering school abroad. And this is the same for other professional bodies. Now, why is this factor important if you work in professional field? So because of the extra test or interview that you are going to take, you may take a longer time compared to the people around the same age as you to qualify as a professional to work at a certain position at a company in Malaysia or to reach a certain salary range that you wish for, because you don't have an accredited qualification or you cannot register as a professional due to the where you study. So of course this factor is not as important if you choose to work overseas or international, or you didn't even plan to become a registered professional. But this is an important factor to consider if you wish to come back to Malaysia later on or become a registered professional in Malaysia later. Okay, the second thing that you should consider is where is the university specifically, at which country, and where are the location of the university itself. This point relates to my previous video about the cost of living as international student, that the place that you choose to live in and study in will highly impact your spending monthly and also your purchasing power. There are usually two categories where university is located. One is the suburban area, so it's far from the city, maybe a bit rural area where it's closer to neighborhood, there's not a lot of cars and there's not a lot of like traffic around the university. The second category is where the university is located at the heart of the city. For example, UniMelb is located very close to CBD or the city center, or University of Sydney, which is located at one of the most expensive city to live in the world. Choosing which city you are going to live in has a significant pros and cons. For example, if you live in the city, of course the cost of living will be much higher and there's a high competition for accommodation, so you have to pay at a premium to get a place that is closer to your university if you study at university that is located in the city. However, one of the benefit is usually when your university is located in the city, there's a lot of tourist attraction and it's easier to get around because the network of public transport is better. Another perspective is if you are choosing a university that is located at the rural area or in the suburban area, the cost of living may be lower. You get to pay less for accommodation and maybe groceries on a monthly basis. But if you choose a place that is too rural or on a specific different island, because you know in the UK they have different island, right? And those islands sometimes have popular universities to live in. You may be limited in terms of traveling due to the lack of proper public transport that can connect from those rural area to the city, or you have to constantly take ticket flights or go out of the city that you are living in. So considering all of those factors, the sweet spot for me is when you live in a suburban area just slightly outside of the city, where it can be easier for you to find affordable accommodation, but also easier to get transport and transit in and out of the city to the popular tourist attraction. The next thing that you should consider is about the culture of the place that you are going to. Different community around the world has different values of life that they prioritize. So they also have a different working culture, they also have a different study culture. So depending on the field of study that you are pursuing, different countries, they have their own strength or university that is popular for that subject. For example, law is maybe popular in the US or in the UK for selected universities. Economic or commerce is maybe popular in the UK or in Australia, and all of these different countries, they have a different work culture or things that they value in their studies. So I give you an example for my field specifically for architecture students. Usually they concern about, is there a studio culture or what are the study experience at the studio. This is because usually architecture students spend hours and hours on their project at the studios itself, right? So if you go to a country that has a high emphasis on work-life balance, you may find that the studio culture is a bit mild, so they don't have the tendencies to stay up from night to early morning in the studio and then return back home after finishing your work in the early morning. That is different from university that maybe is popular with architecture subject, or their top universities is in that country. For example, in the UK there's Bartlett, or in the Netherlands there's TU Delft, right? So if you go to those countries where there is a high emphasis on studio culture, then you may find that the study culture is you have to stay up a lot or stay back a lot to work on your project, because that is just the normal culture there. Okay, the next thing that you should consider is your travel opportunities. 2 years ago, when I'm trying to find advice which university I should choose to pursue my masters, one of the advice that pops out is how easy it is to actually travel around the place that I'm studying in. One of the perks of studying in the UK that I can see is its proximity to other European countries around UK itself. If you go to the UK, you may have the advantage of being able to access to other countries simply by trains or even budget airlines. This is compared to Australia. If you compare the map of UK or Europe on top of Australian map, you may find that Australian maps are much bigger. So there's a lot of spots that you can go inside of Australia itself. But when you tell other people or where you are traveling, it's all like in the same country. In terms of traveling in Australia, based on my experience, you can take or feel the full advantage of it if you have the ability to drive, because most of the tourist attraction is far away. So maybe 1 hour drive, 4 hour drives to get to each spots. So usually trips like this are done through road trips where you have to rent a car, or you can use like budget flights to get in between states. And to travel in between states, there's also options for buses or trains, or there's also a lot of option for budget flights if you choose your ticket flights at the right time. If you are coming to Australia, then it will be highly recommended if you register for an international license that you can use for 1 year and you can drive around the city without any issues. But in terms of the number of countries that you have been through, you may find yourself only traveling in one state, or maybe Australia and New Zealand, because of the proximity of those two countries. So in terms of traveling opportunities, both have their own advantage and benefits. Okay, the next thing that you should also consider is your opportunity for working and migrating, and also the condition of the job market at the country that you are going to study in. So for example, in some country, it will be easier for you to get a working visa if you have some experience studying in the country that you are applying for. And also, depending on the country that you are going to, or the field that you are working in some country that you are going, the rate for those specific profession may be higher than Malaysia. Those economic factor is one of the important things that you want to consider when choosing which university you want to study in. Is it easier for you after you are studying and you want to work in that country for you to get a visa to work there? So some country has a higher competition than other countries. So maybe in Australia, in a certain field like medicine or healthcare or childcare, it will be easier for you to get a working visa and get a higher salary here compared to other countries. It depends on the priorities and demand of each country and what kind of workforce that they need at the moment. Before choosing which university that you want to study in, you should actually sit down and consider what are your long-term goals that you want to work in the next at least 5 or 10 years if you did not choose to return back to Malaysia. So do not make a mistake of choosing a university just because of its popularity, but also consider your long-term goals in terms of, will this help me to get a job in the country that I like, or maybe it's easier for me to get a working visa, or there will be a high competition where I have to work really hard or wait really long for me to get an approval compared to other places that I'm going. So the next thing that you should consider when selecting university is, what is that university of choice is specializing in, or what are their strengths. A certain university in the field that you are studying usually have their own strength or things that they are marketing to their students. So some universities are very popular in terms of their research department. Some people are very popular in producing students that is very industry driven or very knowledgeable in their technical knowledge. Okay, for example, I choose Unimelt specifically is because of the flexibility and options that I have to choose an elective or minors in my masters to support my core architecture subject in my studies for 2 years. And I was also attracted in their vast facilities of robotics and robot clay painting class that they offer at the university. So those are the attractive factor, which is the reason why I choose to study in Unimelt. Another example, taking from my experience as architecture students, there are universities in the world for architecture that is super well known to cater for abstract or super conceptual project where they maybe build a building on the moon or in the middle of the ocean out of nowhere, or very conceptual design process approach. While there are also universities that push really on the realistic or real life projects where they really push on the buildability and sustainability factor of the building. So different students has their own different preferences or different passion. So choosing the right university with the right studying approach will definitely help you to have a more enjoyable study experience and also a more purposeful study, because you know what you are going to do after you are studying based on the university that you are choosing. So to conclude this video, I'm making this video because one of the common mistake that I see when students are choosing which university to study at is they are following which university their friends are going to, rather than thinking of the long-term strategic impact of the university that they're going to, the course that they are taking, to their career path or their future goals. I think choosing the right and valuable degree or certificate will push you a lot in terms of your career development. If you are choosing the academic route, have you ever considered whether the specialization that you are going to, is it in high demand in the places that you are studying in if you wish to work abroad, or is there a high demand in Malaysia itself? Or if you're choosing the industrial route, is the university that you are going to can train you to have the appropriate and enough skill to become a valuable member of the industry, and also equip you with the right knowledge to get a job and get into the industry easier. So one regret that I think all of us should avoid is the regret of spending 4 to 6 years at university and paying thousands and thousands of dollars, where the certificate that you are taking actually make it harder for you to find a job in the future. It doesn't matter whether abroad or in Malaysia. And if you are an international student who are studying abroad right now and you have any additional factors that you want to add on, please share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. This is a super random place to record a YouTube video, but honestly there's not any place inside the faculty that I'm confident in recording for a very long time. There's already a few lecturer or research assistant looking at what I'm doing since I'm holding a camera in front of me. So yeah, for today this will do. I think the sun is a bit overexposed, but again I don't have a lot of choice. I hope the content will help with how this compared to how this video is positioned.